Domestic football is finally back after what feels like an infinite international break, and finally we are free from it. But that doesn't mean that all of the players are free from consequences from it, because Leeds United, looking ahead to their game against Fulham this weekend, could have a couple of issues to deal with. Specifically, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a dive into the 5 different injury absences that Leeds United could expect to face this weekend. They're not all 100% definitely out, but none of them are 100% definitely in, and I think it's worth talking about how it could affect the lineup going forward. So let's have a chat about that. But if you haven't yet, I'd hugely appreciate you subscribing to the channel. It's a button down here. It's free for you to do. You can subscribe to as many channels as you want. It'd be massively appreciated. Thank you. And also like and be a channel member, all that fun stuff. Anyway, into the main bit. I'm going to start from the back of the side going forwards and just sort of discuss all the bits that matter. So first off, I put him in the thumbnail for a good reason. Lucas Perry is definitely not going to be available for the match against Fulham because he has a little bit of an issue with, I believe it was his quad off the top of my head, but I'd need to check my notes to make 100% sure. Definitely missing this one and the next one, and that sort of affects the squad in a fairly significant manner. Leeds United kind of reliant on having a good goalkeeper. After all, last season we saw Illamelier slide off and eventually being dropped, which is fairly rare to see for a goalkeeper. You need to really mess up to be properly dropped. But he managed it and was replaced by Caldalo. Issue is, Caldalo maybe not of the standard of a consistent starting goalkeeper in the Premier League, so eventually Leeds sort of decided, let's look to the continent, sign Lucas Perry, and he has managed to get hurt after the match against Newcastle. At least 2 matches. Don't know how long it'll be after that. So for Fulham, it will probably be Darlow in net, maybe Meslier on the bench. We'll find out. Effectively, we don't know if Meslier is registered with the squad, but this would answer that question very, very clearly. In front of that, you've got 2 more players in midfield that are going to be potentially missing the match. So both of these were mentioned in the same sort of realm as each other by Daniel Farke at his press conference. Ethan Ampadu and Autanaka. Very similar injuries, ligament injuries in their knees, which kept them out for a little bit of time. Now, of the 2, Ethan Ampadu is in a better condition. He has a great tendency to come back a little bit quicker than timelines would project him to. Managed to make it back into team training, is looking a little bit better than Autanaka at the moment, and is questionable for the weekend. Autanaka, similar situation, MCL issue, but is behind Ampadu in that sort of recovery train. Daniel Farke, when he was talking about the ability of those players to play at the weekend, effectively kind of said it could be a situation where we bring both of them to Fulham. It could be a situation where we bring neither of them. It could be a situation where we bring one of them. Decisions to be made in the next 48 hours, so at some point before the end of Friday. If I remember right, the final training session was Friday morning, so that decision will probably be made by that point. That'll decide the squad, that'll decide the starting 11, all that kind of stuff. I imagine if Ampadu is fit, he starts. Tanaka could go either way because Longstaff and Stack can both do that sort of progressive role, but that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. I'm kind of curious about where we land on that one. And then you have the other 2, who also happen to play in the same position as each other. I'm going to start off by mentioning the Piru one. Piru has a little bit of an issue, I believe, in his calf. He got a little bit of a kick in training. It's bruised up pretty nastily by the sounds of it, and it's a question as to whether or not he will be able to make it. A lot of people sort of looked at that and went, if it's just a bruise, he'll probably be able to play. In my opinion, if Daniel Farke mentions an injury, it is because it has the potential to cause bigger issues, such as not being available for a match. If that is the case, then problems, because losing out on Joel Piru means a player that is consistently in our 11. For his entire time that he's been at Leeds United, he's played every single league game, apart from, I think, the last one. I don't know. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But if he's unavailable, that could cause some issues, especially since Lucas Mecha is also potentially unavailable. Mecha has a little bit of an issue with his foot, I believe. I know that one of them is foot, one of them is calf. If I've gotten the wrong way around, sorry about that. But that's going to potentially bring up some concerns as well, because people look at Mecha and say, look, he's really, really injury prone. As far as we're aware, it's one of those cases where it's a knock and he will potentially be available, but with the 2 not being around, you get into a little bit of a worry, I think, because that leaves Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Harry Gray. Now, if one or both of the two are available, fantastic. They can slot in on the bench, and we don't have to have a child on the bench. But as the situation sits at the moment, it is looking like it'll be Calvert-Lewin, and then I'm not entirely sure what happens behind him in terms of the hierarchy. Sorry. Recording at 1:42 in the morning is never a good idea. So by the looks of it, the starting 11 could be very, very disrupted for Leeds United going into the weekend. So Perry, I imagine, would be replaced by Darlow. Ampadu and Tanaka, we know what that midfield three looks like if neither of them are available. If one of them is, I can see them slotting in. If they both are, it'd be wonderful to see both of them. But we'll have to find out how that goes. There's an argument that Longstaff has sort of earned his place in that squad now, with that match against Newcastle looking very, very good. But I think he'd need to repeat those performances a little bit before I'd say you have to drop a fit Tanaka. Fitness is the question mark, I think, when it comes to Tanaka, but we will have to find out. When it comes to Piru and Mecha, I'll be honest, I kind of want to see Calvert-Lewin start anyway. Calvert-Lewin is in that position where he needs to be starting to get to that perfect match fitness, and if he doesn't do so, then you can sort of see him stalling a little bit. Him starting this match would be absolutely fantastic, but I would love a fit and healthy Mecha and Piru behind him on the bench, so we've got those options. Whether or not we get that, I don't know. We'll have to see. Feeling confident-ish ahead of Fulham. I think we're heading in the right direction at the moment as a club, as a squad, and whilst Fulham are a side that haven't yet done too well in the league, I think they've been sort of done dirty by the results. This one is going to be representative of where Leeds United are going to end up this season. Having the best squad available would absolutely set a very positive tone for it. But even if we've not got any of the players that I've listed, I still think we have a very genuinely solid chance of getting something out of this match. I would love 3 points, but at the same time, it's in London. I'd take a performance at this stage, but a point would absolutely do the job for me, without a doubt. But anyway, that was a very quick rundown of lineup things. I might do sort of a tactical breakdown at some point later today. At some point later today. There we go. Not quite decided yet. Let me know if you'd like it, I suppose. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please pop a like on it. As I mentioned earlier, that is massively appreciated. Really, really helps the channel, especially since it's not transfer window time. It's a pretty damn tough time to be doing YouTubey things because very few people are sort of paying attention to them right now, which is a bit of a shame. Like, become a channel member, all that fun stuff. I'm going to leave that there. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo. I don't know why I went first. Later. See you later, mi amigos. That was Spanish. I give up. Right, in a bit.